Hey everybody, it's been a while. I've been super busy at work, but this weekend I've finally found time to make a video. So, let's analyze why the 2024 AMG GT had to have four-wheel drive. So, this is one of the cars that has been announced recently that I found pretty interesting. The old AMG GT had some pretty extreme versions, which were also really fast on racetracks. So the new one is quite different. The new one seems to have gone significantly softer and more practical and way heavier, and is a real change in philosophy. From the outside, it doesn't look that different from the old AMG GT, but under the skin, it is actually very, very different if you analyze the details. So the old AMG GT was a two-seater and had a transaxle, which meant the gearbox was sitting behind the driver, and the engine was behind the front axle. That has all changed. The new AMG GT does not have a transaxle anymore. It is a four-seater, or sorry, a 2+2, and the engine sits on top of the front axle. All of this is leading to significantly worse weight distribution. And along with the increase in weight from by almost 800 pounds, this means that the nose is loaded, so the front tires are loaded a lot more heavily, and the rear tires are maybe lighter, less heavily loaded compared to before, or about the same, but carrying way more mass overall. So what does this mean? Well, in the automotive world, it is rare that you release a new model, like a new generation of an existing model, and the performance specifications get worse. It's just, the customers would not be very happy about it. It's just not meeting customer expectations. Plus, having to design the new AMG GT to more or less resemble the old one in terms of shape, it was probably also not that possible to move the location of the axles relative to the vehicle body around all that much. And so you end up with the current situation where the old car was rearward biased in terms of weight, and the new one is most likely going to be forward biased in terms of weight. All of this means that traction is going to be a lot worse, despite the use of the hydraulically interconnected suspension, which provides the roll stiffness without the warp stiffness, similar to the McLarens. You still have the intrinsic problem of just not having all that much mass above the rear axle, and so imagine moving the gearbox to where the engine is and moving the engine further forwards. There's basically no. You might ask, well, why don't they just move the gearbox to behind the engine, but don't move the engine further forwards? Well, the answer is packaging. So this place where this is where I'm pointing is where the driver is sitting, and so people typically like to have some space in the cabin rather than the gearbox inside the cabin, and therefore if you have the gearbox bolted right up behind the engine, then the engine has to shift forward, and so intrinsically the weight distribution is going to worse. And so to keep the same acceleration, figures to keep the acceleration to a similar level as the old car with the same engine, there's just no alternative to adding four-wheel drive. But then all of this is adding further adding to the weight of the car, so I think it would be a safe bet to say that the new AMG GT is very unlikely to be as fast as the old one around a racetrack. So that's my take. Hope it was interesting. Let me know in the comments whether you agree, whether you have any other thoughts as to why the new AMG GT is four-wheel drive. Thank you, until next time.